Hey gang, welcome back. And to continue on my reviews of products that I wanted to test out in the field before I brought them to you, I bring to you this beast. This is the SetPower RV65D. I have pretty much migrated to using only SetPower fridges over these last 2 years. I've done bodegas, New Airs, U-Homies, every basic Chinese brand 12-volt cooler I have used, and I have pretty much landed on SetPower. For my, I take that back. I do use a small Lethelli little backpack cooler quite a bit, but in terms of like coolers like this, SetPower, in my opinion, is the way to go. They are owned actually by IceCo, and I know most of you folks have probably heard of IceCo coolers if you're looking at this video. They're way more expensive. The IceCos have a 5-year warranty. The SetPowers have a 3-year warranty and a little bit different compressor. However, I have yet to have a single problem with any SetPower fridge that I have used. I took this one with me to Missouri on a 3-day, 3-night trip. I took it with me when my daughter and I went camping a couple weekends ago. It is massive, it is huge. It is not meant for a 1 or 2 night trip with a single person like me. It's just too big. It is perfect for literally a week getaway with multiple family members. You can fit so much stuff inside this cooler. It is insane, but it worked flawlessly. It is extremely heavy duty. It's not that cheap, flimsy plastic that some of these coolers are. It is heavy. It's around 40 to 45 pounds, completely empty, but it is built like an absolute tank. You can see I've got a few scratches on it from throwing it in the back of my truck, but it's 500 bucks on Amazon, 68 quarts. And again, guys, I can pretty much guarantee you, I hope that Black Friday is going to be throwing out some kind of sales on a lot of this stuff. They usually do. I don't know if they will or not yet, but I'll leave a link for this and you can put it in your cart and save it, and you'll get notifications if that price lowers from when you put it in your cart. So I would just hold up for Black Friday to see if this price drops even more. But if you need a giant, huge cooler for multiple families for multiple days, this one is a really good option. It's just a cooler, guys. There's not a whole lot of bells and whistles and fancy things about it. It just works, and it works well. It is dual zone. It does have these metal latches, unlike most coolers have that plastic clasp that just comes over. So, and I'll bring in, but it's got 2 dedicated zones. Unlike some coolers that have like a pull-out divider, this is a true dedicated dual zone cooler. It can go from ambient 70-ish degrees to 32 degrees in 15 minutes, or it can go from ambient 72-ish degrees to 0 degrees in about 45 minutes. And we'll test that out here to see how close it is to it. I'm gonna get a couple of thermometers here and stick them in both zones. Well, actually, so before we do all the testing, let me pull you in to kind of show you what this thing's about. So let me pull you in a little bit closer. So here's these metal clasps. But the left zone, and what I really like about this cooler is it's got 2 buckets, 2 crates. And that came in really useful. I would put a bunch of stuff that I didn't necessarily need to get out very often on my Missouri trip. I would put it in that crate. And then stuff that I would use fairly often, it just fits right on top. If I get the cords out of the way like that. So it does come with an AC adapter as well as a DC plug that'll plug right into the cigarette port of a power station. You've got, of course, your manual. So 2 crates. It does have LEDs on both sides, on both zones. So you got an LED over there and an LED on the other side. And this is going to be the right zone. So this is where the compressor is underneath. So you do lose a little bit of space here, but between 68 quarts, guys, I had no issues storing any of the food that I wanted. And to give you a size comparison, so inside actual cooler measurements, the right zone is 12 inches by about 14 inches by 14 inches. And you do lose some with that compressor. So that compressor little shelf, and it's going to be hard to get on camera, is 8 inches tall and 7 3/4 inches across. So you lose a little bit. Do have a drain plug down there. Now the big side, the left side, again, you're looking at 14 1/4 inches tall by 12 1/4 inches wide by about 13 3/4 inches. Plenty of storage, guys. When I tell you, it was hard for me to fill this cooler up. I felt like I did not bring enough food with me because I had so much room inside. Up here on the lid, you do have rubber gaskets that sealed up very well on both of the doors. And the thing I like most about SetPower is the ease of use. And I'll get this plugged in so you can see it, but you got the left zone control panel and you've got the right zone control panel. That's it. You don't have to toggle between screens. You don't have to press and hold 2 different buttons to get to each zone. It is so simple to press up or down temperature for the left zone or up or down temperature for the right zone. It just does it automatically. This is the compressor speed, so you do have a max setting which is going to cool it down a little bit faster, use a little bit more battery, or you've got the economy mode or minimum mode. I just keep it on minimum because it does just fine. And then you've got your battery protection, high, middle, and low. I always keep mine on low because if it detects too low of a voltage, it will shut itself off. So I just keep it on low just to protect my food. But that's control panel. You've got some cooling vents down here on the bottom. You got more cooling vents down here on the side. You even have a couple of USB-A ports and an Anderson 12 volt, 24 volt output. If you want to power something with this cooler, you can do that. I don't really see a need to do any of that stuff, but there you go. And while we're looking at sizing, the overall size of this cooler is about real world 31 inches wide. And then you're looking at about 19 inches deep and about, again, 19 and a quarter inches tall. So it is a big cooler. Let me put some of these thermometers in here and I'll show you what they look like. These are just sitting out regular ambient room temperature. I'm actually gonna plug this up with AC instead of DC this time because we're here at the house. And the connection port on the cooler is right here on the side. So I'm just gonna get this cooler plugged in real quick. And just so we're all aware, 77 degrees, is that showing up? I think 77 degrees on this one, and 76.7 on this thermometer. So these have just been hanging out in my garage, and it will get up to 87 degrees today here in Texas, which is insane. But this is how simple it is to set. So again, I've got the battery on low. You can see by the red LED. I actually have it on max now for the compressor speed because I do have it plugged into home grid. For the left cooler, I'm gonna put it to 32. For the right cooler, I'm gonna put it, I had it on 0 and it worked just great for actually freezing ice cream, but I have that on 32. Okay, I'm gonna set my stopwatch, just started. I'm gonna come back in about 15 minutes and see where both of these sit at. Now the way that this compressor works is it doesn't cool both zones simultaneously. It kind of goes back and forth until both zones get to the set temperature. So it might take a little longer than 15 minutes to get both zones to 32 degrees, but we'll come back after 15 minutes and see how quickly this cools down to that 32 degrees that I set it at. And then after that, guys, I'm gonna do like a 10 or 12 hour runtime test, hook up a watt meter to it to kind of give you an idea of how much power this thing uses. I'll extrapolate the 10 to 12 hours and turn it into 24-hour time. But anyway, to kind of give you guys an idea of how much power this thing would use if you're gonna run it off of a power station for a night, 2 nights, kind of give you somewhat of an idea of what size power station that you would need. So we'll check back in 15 minutes. Well, gang, we are sitting at 15 minutes and 15 seconds. And according to the LCD screen, both zones are at 39 degrees. Get you zoomed in so you can see that better. Now let's see how close we are to that actual temperature. Look at that, guys. Hard before it fogs up. 39 degrees for the left. 37 degrees for the right side. Again, that's why I like these SetPower fridges. They're very accurate. They basically tell you exactly what is inside. A lot of these coolers are off 5, 10, some even 15 degrees. So that's awesome. So I'll get that crate back in there. So the next thing I want to do for you guys as a test is to show you how much power this thing uses, like I said. So I'm actually gonna, this is worst case scenario. The cooler's completely empty. If there was stuff in it, it would be more efficient. But this is a worst case scenario. It's gonna get to 85, 87 degrees here today in Texas. So it's not like it's sitting in a cool garage. So I'm actually going to set the right side to freezing. I'm going to set it to below freezing. I'm going to set it to 0 degrees, which is what I had it set at last weekend when I took my daughter, and we kept ice cream and popsicles in the right side of this cooler, and they were 100% frozen all night and into the next day. So it definitely gets down to what you need to if you want to keep ice cream. I'm going to set the left side to a normal 36 degrees. That's typically between 34 and 36 is what I keep my coolers at when I'm just storing food, because I don't want it to accidentally freeze. That happened to me on my Missouri trip. I had some eggs. I set it to 33 degrees and it accidentally froze the eggs. So I'm gonna put it to 36 degrees. I'm gonna plug it from the wall. I've got my watt meter here. It is completely zeroed out. There is nothing showing other than the voltage, which is 120. So I'm gonna plug this in here. Cooler turns on, and this is gonna help me monitor over 10 hours how many watts this used to keep it running to 0 degrees and 36 degrees. And it's also gonna tell me what my highest wattage this cooler will use. And I think it's around 70 to 75 watts, but that's the peak. That's the highest you'll ever see it right when that compressor starts up. But I'll be able to go through all that data with you here probably in about 10 hours. But also keep in mind, this is very subjective. Outside ambient temperature matters. How many times you open and close the cooler matters. How much stuff you have in the cooler matters. So again, worst case scenario, nothing in the cooler, 85 degrees outside. We'll check back in about 10 hours. Well, we have now been going for about 10 hours and 20 minutes. As you can see right there, I'm getting tired. I want to go to bed. This is as long as I'm going to do it to show you folks the amount of watts that it took to run this fridge. Again, set to 36 and then to 0. So this is kind of fluctuating right now, but the left side showing 36, the right side right now is showing 7 degrees because that compressor, again, kind of keeps going back and forth. In 10 hours, we used 637 watts. The highest we got, or the lowest wattage that we got, was 10.2 watts. And the highest that fridge pulled was 77.3 watts. So let's do some math here real quick. 637, it's too late for me to do math. So we're gonna go into my calculator. Well, actually that's actually a really pretty simple equation. So that's around 63 watt hours per hour. So again, this is worst case scenario, guys. It's around 83, 84 degrees in the garage right now at night. I typically don't have one of the zones set to 0 degrees. That I hardly ever do that when I go camping. It's typically set to 34, 36 degrees. So, and there's nothing in here. So again, that's worst case scenario for a 10-hour run to use around 637 watt hours. And then this side, which I had set to 0, I've never seen it this low, -3. I've never seen my thermometer get to negative temperatures, and there's ice on that. So yes, this thing works without a hitch to freeze food. I've never seen that before. That's pretty interesting. I don't know if that helps any of you guys in terms of kind of trying to size your power station to run overnight or, you know, over the weekend. Honestly, something this size isn't going to be used for an overnight camping trip unless you have a family of 5. Then you would need something this size, 68 quarts. But to me, it's pretty efficient in terms of, you know, 60 to 70 watts an hour so when it's set to 0. That's pretty good. So guys, overall, nothing else I can say other than I've been really happy with the SetPower fridges these last few years. This one was killer. It did great on my last couple of camping trips that I used it on. It's at a fair price, I think, 3-year warranty. Everything about it seems very well made. This thing is, I mean, I know you guys can't feel that, but it's a very, very sturdy unit. And that's about it, guys. I'll leave a link for this down there below in the video description. And again, wait for Black Friday if I can get this video out before Black Friday, because I guarantee you this will probably go on sale during that Black Friday week and even a few days after Black Friday. So check it out if you need a very, very large, very well-built cooler. So till next time, guys, see you soon.